Hello everybody, we're back with another video, and in today's video, we are going to be counting down the top 5, I don't even know what you would call it, like, power transfers, I guess you could say. Basically just like whenever, like, you know, multiple people have held the same powers. Most commonly in the Zordon era, since that was really the only time that, series would carry over, like, it went Mighty Morphin, Zeo, Turbo, in space. Kind of Lost Galaxy. Kind of, but it didn't have any of the same Rangers, so, doesn't really matter in the sense we're talking about. But, I don't think we need any further introduction. So let's just hop into it. In the number 5 spot, we have Albert to Kendall. Now, I chose this as number 5 because it's kind of unique in that the powers were held directly in the hands of Albert for only one episode, and then they weren't directly transferred to Kendall, as in the episode World Famous in New Zealand. The Rangers find Albert and then discover he's the Purple Ranger. But Albert doesn't really want to fight monsters at, like, the age of, like, what, 60, 70 he is? 67? I'm sorry. So, he decides to give up the power with the help of Keeper. Then, in one more Energem, while planning to take down Sledge, Keeper is kidnapped and Kendall follows him to Sledge's ship to rescue him. While on board, Kendall manages to take the purple Energem, and while rescuing Keeper, the Energem bonds with her, making her the Dino Charge Purple Ranger. So, long story short, it more so went Albert, no one Kendall. And then also during the run of Dino Charge, they had another kind of power transfer. It was like kind of one. Like, Zenwing had the Silver Energem, and was the Silver Ranger for a minute, and then touched the Dark Energem, so Doomwing was created, and then only Doomwing could change into the Silver Ranger. And then the Rangers split Zenwing and Doomwing apart, so Zenwing was once again the Dino Charge Silver Ranger. But anyway, on to number 4. In number 4, we have Kendrix to Corone. This was the first power transfer in the history of Power Rangers to be from a Ranger dying. Although saying in the history of Power Rangers at that point wasn't saying much. It was like 7 years old. So, it wasn't saying much. But, during the crossover between Lost Galaxy and In Space, specifically the episode Power of Pink, Kendrix and Cassie chase Psycho Pink to a planet where the Savage Sword is located. Psycho Pink takes the sword and fights him. She manages to knock Cassie's morpher off her wrist and plunges the Savage Sword into it, creating like a power vortex. Which also, how was that much power in Space Morpher? Like, it was created by the people of KL35. Like, what? Anyway, probably just morphing grid energy. With the help of the Astro Megazord and the Galaxy Megazord, they destroy Psycho Pink. But the power vortex is still going. Kendrick goes in and destroys the sword, causing a giant explosion, killing Kendrix. Her spirit tells the others she's okay, and the pink Quasar Saber floats away. The In-Space Rangers leave for some reason, despite the Pink Ranger having just died. Although, something worth noting, originally Cassie was going to replace Kendrix as the Pink Ranger, but due to pay issues, because they weren't originally going to credit her as a main cast member, which, fair enough, like, she was one of the main Power Rangers. Why wouldn't she credit her as a main cast member? I can't remember the actor's name, but she left the filming, so, honestly, good on her. Anyway, the Galaxy Rangers still need to find the Quasar Saber. So on the planet Onyx, a bidding war is going on over the Saber, but Astronema bids on it. However, Trakrina is there and reveals Corone as Astronema, or I guess Astronema as Corone. But Corone gets away with the Saber anyway, and she catches up with the Galaxy Rangers, and then, while trying to save Leah, she's knocked off a cliff. But she's chosen by Kendrix's spirit to be the next Pink Galaxy Ranger. She morphs and then defeats Trakrina for now. She then joins the Lost Galaxy Rangers for the rest of the series, but by the end, Kendrick is revived somehow. It is assumed she took back the role of the Pink Lost Galaxy Rangers, since in Trakrina's Revenge, the crossover between Lost Galaxy and Lightspeed Rescue, Kendrix is the Pink Lost Galaxy Ranger once again. However, something worth noting is that in Legendary Battle, Crone is back as the Pink Lost Galaxy Ranger, so I guess they just like flip a coin every time they want to, like a mission is decide on to see who becomes the Pink Galaxy Ranger. I don't know. But anyway, on to number 3. In the number 3 spot, we have Jason, Zach, and Trini to Rocky, Adam, and Aisha. Now, I know I'm going to get some hate for putting this here, but one of the main reasons I did this is because of the behind-the-scenes reasons. That being Austin St. John, Jason, Walter Jones, Zach, and Tweed Trang, Trini, left the show for pay issues, and the show having to write their characters out without the actors actually being there. But in story, they spend about 6 episodes building it up, with one of them just being them mentioning the peace conference. The next one is Ninja Encounter, which introduces Rocky, Adam, and Aisha, who just kind of replace Jason, Zach, and Trini anyway, because like anytime they have to fight Z-Putties, the 3 of them are there, but Jason, Zach, and Trini aren't, because they need someone from Tommy, Billy, and Kim to hang out with, but they don't have the actors for Jason, Zach, and Trini, so they were just like, we'll do Rocky, Adam, and Aisha there, and then the Z-Putties show up, so but something you will notice in these episodes is that Tommy wears green to match old footage, so they can use like archive footage of Austin St. John, Walter Jones, and Tweed Trang being there. Jason, Zach, and Trini have stand-ins for a lot of the shots, so you only really see the back of their heads. And they're also played by different actors during like the ADR, like when they're morphs. Zach specifically is actually played by the actor who plays Curtis, Zach's cousin in the show. And then a lot of the times, the 3 of them are like paired up, and then Tommy, Billy, and Kimberly are paired up as well, sometimes with the other 3. But also a lot of time, Jason, Zach, and Trini get like trapped or frozen somewhere, so they don't have to use like the ADR for them or something. So yeah, but anyway, in Power Transfer, Jason, Zach, and Trini are chosen to go to the Peace Conference, so the Rangers venture to the planet to get the Sword of Light. The Rangers get it and just barely escape Serpentera. They go back to Earth, and then Rocky, Adam, and Aisha are chosen to replace Jason, Zach, and Trini. But anyway, on to number 2. Right? Yeah, 2. In the number 2 spot, we have Kimberly to Catherine. Yeah, I placed this higher than Jason, Zach, and Trini because the show actually had a plan for this, with Amy Jo Johnson wanting to leave. So the show was like, okay, don't quit. We'll give you a 9-episode arc. Which is like a third of season 3, by the way. And B, I love Kat's character, except her relationship with Tommy. I think Tommy and Kim should have either made it work, or Tommy and Kat just should have never gotten together. But anyway, time to explain the story. For the sake of the length of this video, I'll only briefly discuss the episodes before A Different Shade of Pink. So during a Ranger catastrophe, Kat is introduced. She's under a spell from Rita. She then takes Ninjor and the Falcon Zord for Rita and Zed, and then later also kidnaps Kimberly. They then find the Shogun Zords of Zordnia and tell the Rangers to pilot them, or else they'll destroy Kimberly. So they do, but Tommy ends up rescuing Kimberly, and Billy gets the Rangers control over the Zords. And then in the next episode, Kimberly is training for the Pan Global Games, but Rita and Zed make her work hard as a Ranger and use all of her energy. She's training late one night at the juice bar, and Kat shows up, presumably just to spy on her, as she's been doing throughout this 9-episode arc. But she breaks the Rita spell, but before she can stop Kimberly, she falls off the balance beam and hits her head hard. Kat takes her to the hospital and tells everyone about her being under a spell by Rita. They all forgive her, saying how Tommy became a Ranger by being under Rita's spell as well. Rita and Zed are upset that Kat has changed sides. However, they have a plan, wanting to trade Ninjor for Catherine. The Rangers don't agree, but Catherine says they have no choice, so they form a plan to decide to trick Rita and Zed. But Rita and Zed trick them as well, but Rita and Zed actually end up with Catherine, and at the same time, Kimberly decides to give up gymnastics, not wanting to injure herself again. At the Moon Palace, Catherine manages to escape with the pink power coin. She also manages to convince Kimberly not to quit gymnastics, and Kimberly is invited to Florida to win the Pan Global Games. She declines at first, but the Rangers convince her to go, so she calls Catherine, and she's given the powers. By the way, I just want to say, currently in a rewatch of Mighty Morphin, and I just watched that as well, so this is why I knew what was going on, and I almost cried. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty upsetting. But anyway, on to number 1. Who am I kidding? You guys know at this point. I'm gonna do an honorable mention. What I always do an honorable mention. Honorable mention. Da 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 da. In the honorable mention spot, we have Jack to Sky to Bridge. Now I put this in the honorable mention because we don't really get to see Jack as the Red Ranger. We get to see Bridge, but not in his own series. So I kind of just decided this should go in honorable mention. But story-wise, in the two-parter Reflection and Old Enemy, which, by the way, actually, before I start, Reflection, the first part and second part have, nothing to do with each other. Almost nothing. It's kind of just, Murloc is in the first one, gives the Rangers information, nothing to do with the rest of the episode, and then the second one, the first one has nothing to do with it. Anyway, the episode starts, in the episode, an old enemy of Sky's father is questioned for the information on another criminal. He provides this, but in trade, Sky tells him the saddest story he knows, which is the last day he saw his father. The villain, Murloc, laughs at this, causing Sky to shed a tear, and using his powers, Murloc escapes in the tear's reflection. At the command base, Sky is upset since he figured out Murloc killed his father, and Kruger didn't tell him. Kruger says it wasn't the right time, and Sky accepts this, wanting to be demoted. But Jack won't let him, reminding him that his father wouldn't let him quit. So they all split up to look for Murloc. But everyone except Sam and Jack are captured by Murloc, and Sam goes after Murloc in his light form, and Jack goes after him in the Omega Max Megazord, but Jack is captured as well. Sam, however, managed to free everyone from the mirror prison. Murloc teases Sky, but his friends defend him, and Jack hands him the SPD Red Morpher, and he morphs and defeats Murloc with the Battleizer.
SPD, emergency! SPD, Battleizer! Yeah! Cyber mode, activate! Yeah! Sonic mode! Yeah! Battleizer, mode 2, complete! Yeah! Fire!
However, this is not the end of Sky's the Red Ranger, as by the end of the series, Jack retires from SPD and Sky is promoted to Red, and Bridge is promoted to Blue. And sometime later, we learn in Operation Overdrive's Once Ranger series special that Supreme Commander Birdie retired, so then Kruger was promoted to Supreme Commander, and then Sky was promoted to Commander, and Bridge was promoted to Red Ranger, later even gaining a powered-up form in Soul of the Dragon. So, that's all of those out of the way. Now for the real reason you came here. Number 1. In the number 1 spot, we have Trey to Jason to Trey. I put this in the number 1 spot because I just think it's the coolest overall. There's an entire arc for Trey with him being introduced to losing his powers, to giving them to Jason, and even by the end, Jason gives them back to Trey. But during the arc of the Gold Ranger being introduced, the episode's Revelations in Gold is there. Now, I won't fully explain it because, essentially, it is revealed that the Gold Zeo Ranger is Trey of Triforia, but he can no longer hold the form of the Gold Ranger, so he's split up into 3 beings: Trey of Courage, Trey of Wisdom, and Trey of Heart. By the way, just want to say, I remembered what the 3 adjectives were off the top of my head. I'm a Power Rangers nerd. Anyway, originally Rangers were wanting to give the golden powers to Billy, but due to sciencey reasons, he can't receive them. So the Rangers must find someone to give the powers to before King Mondo can steal them, or they're just lost overall. In the episode A Golden Homecoming, Tommy is running through the desert with someone, trying to get them to the power chamber without Mondo noticing. But he does, and they are attacked. The teleportation systems are damaged, so they must hurry to get in range of them. They make it to the power chamber, and Tommy introduces the new Gold Ranger, Jason Lee Scott. Anyway, once they're there, Trey gives Jason the golden powers, and at the same time, Mondo sends down a new powered-up monster. So the Rangers morph, saying how it is just like old times with him and Jason. The Rangers fight, but their attacks have no effect on the monster. Clink and Orbis show up, and they grow the monster, not helping at all. The Rangers try to summon the Zords, but Billy teleports them back to the power chamber. He states that if their normal attacks have no effect on the monster, then their Zords probably won't and might even be destroyed. Trey then gives the Rangers the Super Zeozords, which I actually prefer over the Zeozords. Anyway, the Rangers are able to beat the monster, but King Mondo sends down more monsters. However, they're all destroyed. At the end of the season, Jason starts losing control of the Gold Ranger powers, with them not being fit for a normal human. So Zordon summons the Treys, and with him having a plan to give the golden powers back to them before Jason loses his life and the Gold Ranger powers. The Rangers teleport to the desert, and a beam is shot off from the command center, hitting Aquitar, Triforia, and the golden power staff held by Jason. It then transfers the powers to Trey, and the three Treys are united as the Gold Rangers once more. And then the series ends, which I think they should have done one more episode. But what do I know? I'm just a Power Rangers nerd. Anyway, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know when I finished Ninja Quest off, I promised that this was going to be a pretty good one. Which, all my videos are good. But, it's not what I intended. I actually need more time. I underestimate how much time my next video is going to take. So, it'll be the next one. I promise you that, okay? I'm going to start working on this actually when I finish editing this video. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because you're not going to want to miss next week's video. I think it's pretty cool. At least it's got a cool scene in it. Anyway, I shall see you guys then. Goodbye.